Back in 1993, something incredible happened to me. I met a very special girl, and little did I know she would become the love of my life. She was super smart and had a way of making everyone around her feel happy. We felt like we belonged together, and our love grew stronger every day. One day when her parents were out, she took out a needle. This needle was really important because she used it to sew the beautiful Hmong clothes she wore. We both agreed to do something unusual, something that showed just how much we loved each other. We pricked our fingers and mixed a tiny bit of our blood. It might sound strange, but we believed this would make our love last forever. We even marked the date, which was 1996, to remember our special promise. As time went by, we were as happy as could be. But then something really sad happened. My love, my smart and wonderful girlfriend, got sick. No matter what we did, her health kept getting worse, and eventually she passed away. It felt like my world had turned dark, like a storm cloud had covered up the sun. After she was gone, I started having strange dreams. In these dreams, I saw her, but she didn't look like herself anymore. Her face was like it was when she was laid to rest in a box called a coffin. It was scary and made me feel like I was stuck in a spooky story. Time went on, and I tried my best to move forward. I met a new girl, and we became a couple. We decided to go see a big, beautiful mountain together. As we stood there, hugging and looking at the view, something unbelievable caught my eye. Far away, on a tree branch, was my first girlfriend, the one who had passed away. But she looked different. Her face was all twisted and strange. She was wearing the same Hmong clothes that her Hmong family had dressed her in when she died. I remember it because I was just standing in the room while they dressed her while she died. And now seeing her face all twisted and strange sitting on a branch brought back memories and fears that I thought I had left behind. When I witnessed her from afar, I just held my girlfriend's hand and took off running without saying a word. I became ill a few days later. I remember my parents hiring a shaman to do a ritual while I was really sick. I was laying on my bed pale as a ghost. I couldn't get up, and I felt like my soul had already left me. My uncle and cousin were holding my hands, praying for me to get better, while the shaman was still doing his stuff in the living room. I could hear my dead girl calling my name. "Come on, let's go, it's time." I yelled out to the people around me and asked if they heard anything, but no one did. The shaman tied some string to my hands and arms to protect me from that thing. After that ceremony, it helped a little bit. I feel like she couldn't come close to me because sometimes when I go to the farm, I can see someone wearing Hmong clothes from far away, and I know it is my dead girlfriend. Even when I went out with my new girlfriend in town, I could clearly see a woman standing there just watching my every move. When I saw it, I always knew it was her. My new girlfriend finally broke up with me because she said that I was haunted by my dead girlfriend and she couldn't take it anymore, so we broke up. It doesn't matter how many girls I date, they will end up breaking up with me because they'll see my dead ex-girlfriend too. In 1999, my uncle from the US helped me with some paperwork and finally got me the name to move to the US. I thought I would forever escape my haunted dead girlfriend. But I was wrong. One day I was working, and on my lunch break while eating, I saw a woman stand outside the front of the company. At first I ignored it, but what caught my eye was that she was wearing Hmong clothes. I thought to myself, who would wear Hmong clothes out of nowhere? And when I think of my dead ex-girlfriend, my heart sinks. I remember when we drank each other's blood and promised that no matter what, we would be together. I began to get scared and got inside the break room. That day I worked overtime and was one of the last people to leave the company, and it was getting dark. When I look outside the fence, there she is, still standing exactly where I saw her a while ago. I quickly got in my car and sped out. My mind was racing, and I wondered what if she followed me home. I was shaking all night and couldn't get her off my mind. As time went by, I started to see her more and more and go crazy. Even if the shaman did his ritual, it wouldn't help. It seems like she is getting stronger in the US. My cousin helped me go through so many rituals and ceremonies, but it didn't help. My aunt decides to take me to believe in Jesus to see if God can help me through my nightmare, so I went to church for 6 months and hadn't seen her since then, so I thought this was the scariest thing I'd ever seen. One day in church, everyone was praying with their eyes closed, but I decided to open my eyes and look around. And to my horror, I saw my dead ex-girlfriend outside of the window, still wearing her Hmong clothes, and she pretended to pray with me. She then winks her eyes and has the most twisted face ever. I got so scared and screamed that everyone looked at me like I was crazy, but everyone started to gather and comfort me because they already knew my situation. To this day, I wear a cross around my neck and hope she'll stay away. I did so many things to help me get rid of my dead ex-girlfriend, but nothing seemed to help. I'm so tired of seeing her stalk me everywhere I go that it started to become a normal part of my life. Even to this day, I still see her from afar. If anyone has any idea how to get rid of her, please comment in the description of this video. This is a lesson to not make any promises with a drop of blood. I felt torn between my new love and the promises I had made in the past. It was like the things from my dreams were mixing with real life, and it was really confusing and scary. It made me realize that sometimes the promises we make can be more powerful than we think. They can tie us to things we can't even see, and they can bring back memories and feelings we thought were gone. And so, my story continues, with the love of my life from the past appearing in the present, showing me that some promises are so strong, they can even reach beyond the boundaries of life and death.
When I was younger, I didn't always make the smartest choices. Back then, I used to hang out at my friend's house almost every night and drink a lot. His place was about 5 blocks away from mine, and even though it was in a rough part of town where people used drugs, I would still stumble my way home in the late hours of the night. One particular night, after having a few too many drinks at my friend's place, I decided to take a shortcut through a dark alley on my way back home. This alley was where people tossed their trash, and I was so drunk that I could barely walk in a straight line. As I stumbled along, I saw an old, discarded bed on the ground and thought it might be a good idea to take a little rest. I laid down on the bed, feeling the cool, grimy surface against my skin. My eyelids felt heavy, and before I knew it, I had dozed off into a deep sleep. I couldn't really keep track of time, but at some point, I woke up suddenly. My head was spinning, and my vision was blurry, but I could feel something strange happening. As my senses started to clear up, I realized there was someone on top of me, moving back and forth. My heart started to race when I took a closer look and saw that there was a very thin, elderly woman. She looked really skinny, almost like her bones were showing. Panic surged through me as I realized I was completely naked. In my hazy state, I managed to push her off me and grabbed my boxers from the ground to cover up. The old woman was crying and muttering something about needing me to help with her business. I was completely shocked and didn't know what to do. I quickly got up, leaving behind all my clothes except for my boxers, and sprinted away as fast as I could. I finally made it back to the safety of my house, and the first thing I did was jump into the shower, scrubbing myself vigorously with rubbing alcohol to try to get rid of any germs. In the following days, I mustered up the courage to share my terrifying experience with my uncle. He encouraged me to see a doctor to make sure I hadn't caught any diseases from that encounter. Over the next 2 years, I went through a series of medical tests and checkups, each one filled with worry and anxiety. Finally, I received the news that I was in the clear, and a huge wave of relief washed over me. That shocking night changed everything for me. It was a wake-up call that made me realize just how reckless and dangerous my behavior had been. From that point on, I swore off drinking completely. The memory of the old woman and the fear I felt in that dark alley stuck with me, reminding me to make better choices and prioritize my safety.